Hey everybody, welcome to the latest edition of the Rock and Roll Experience with Mike Brunn. Over the last few weeks, I've been talking about doing something a little bit different. My first few episodes, I did some concert reviews, book reviews, and today, as you can see here, I have a good friend of mine, Mr. Vincent LaRusso, with us, and we're going to do a comparison of a couple of classic Kiss albums where we go through them and we decide which one of these do we think is better, the first Kiss album or Hotter Than Hell. Vin, I know people here might not know exactly who you are. Why don't you just introduce yourself, tell people, what kind of music you listen to, maybe what your first Kiss album was. Just let people know who my good friend Vincent is.
What do I listen to? I listen to a lot of classic rock. I also like a lot of old school R&B music. I listen to a lot of 80s metal still. I was a big fan of the 80s metal movement. My first Kiss album was Hotter Than Hell, which
I didn't know that.
Yes, it was Hotter Than Hell, and it was given to me by my babysitter.
Oh.
I was 8 years old, and yes, I remember watching The Love Boat in Fantasy Island and listening to Hotter Than Hell.
Interesting.
So it just shows my age.
Okay, yeah. I how many years are we friends now? 40 years?
42, I believe.
42, yeah. And I don't think I ever knew that Hotter Than Hell was your first Kiss album.
Yes.
Huh. Okay, very interesting. Well, with that, why don't we jump right in over here, get started. Like I said, we're going to go through the two classic albums. The original Kiss album, quality cover, little tip of the hat to the Beatles there, right?
Yep. And, I should mention that I'm a huge Beatle fan, but go ahead.
Yes.
I don't know how I left that one out.
Then we have, of course, the Hotter Than Hell album, which it's a little bit of the Japanese flavor to it, even though it was never released in Japan for about 3 years, but so be it. So, what we want to do here is we're going to go through song by song. On my website, I'm usually asking people to give ratings of albums, a rating of songs on scales of 1 to 10, and that's what we're going to do here. But I think it's kind of a good idea, Vin, maybe if we just kind of set the tone of how we're going to do our ratings, right? Because I think some people use a rating scale 1 to 10, but maybe they mean slightly different things to different people. So I think you and I are aligned on this. I think, if we say something is a 10, that's like the cream of the crop. There's nothing better than that. This is, top notch, right? It's tough to get a 10, right?
Unless we're using the Spinal Tap system, which goes to 11.
Of course, right? That goes without saying, right? But otherwise, we'll go to just a 10 usually. That's a very, very good reference there.
Okay.
I think we'll say 5 is average, right? So middle of the road, 5 will be average. Mm-hmm. Below 5, less than average. Obviously, when we get into our 7s, 8s, and 9s, we're talking about stuff that is really quality, good stuff. But we'll go through the 10 songs on each album, rate each one of them. And then we'll come up with a total points and an average for the album and say, I believe, my opinion, and this is where this started, I think, with you and I a couple of years ago. I think we were driving to the Indie Kiss Expo, and I was saying that I thought Hotter Than Hell was a better album than the debut album, song for song.
Yeah.
And I think you called me nuts, if I remember right.
I almost tucked and rolled out of the car, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Something like that, yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, we'll kind of put that to the test. No doubt both albums are classics. But we'll go through and we'll see, for both of us, which album comes up with a greater overall average. And we'll see whether or not I'm wrong.
And we also give half ratings.
Yep.
To our ratings. We give 0.2s, 0.3s. You might be surprised at some of those.
Mm-hmm.
And just for the record, I'll be keeping score.
That's right, yes.
I'll be plugging in our numbers into an Excel spreadsheet to ensure that there's no errors in our calculations.
That's right. And with my accountant background...
So if you see me typing in or me looking off a little to the side, that's what I'll be doing as we go along here.
And with my accountant background, maybe I'll audit you after this is done.
Duly noted.
Yeah. So, do you want to jump right in then?
Sure, let's do it.
All right,
I'm excited.
All right, let's get started. First album, first song, Strutter. Do you want to go first?
I was going to say, am I going first?
Yeah, I'll let you go first.
Okay, I'll go first. There's no doubt in my mind this song is an absolute 10. One of my favorite Kiss songs of all time. You hear that opening drum fill. I am a drummer. I'm recently playing that song again, and I could get as excited as when I first heard it in the 70s and listened throughout the 80s and 90s. I just wish this was one of the songs I never quite understood why, Kiss didn't play this more often in the live shows.
Yep,
So that's one thing I'm disappointed in, but absolute 10.
Absolutely, yeah. So you know what? it's funny, we started off by saying 10 is going to be cream of the crop, not going to be easy to hand out 10s. And out of the gate, we're both going to start with 10s. For me, Strutter is probably one of my top 20 favorite Kiss songs of all time. Like you just said, I don't understand why they haven't played it pretty much every tour since 1974. It should be on every set list. It's classic from the drum intro, the solo. Everything about the song is, I'll say, pretty much damn near perfect. So I think both of those will be a 10, right?
Yep, and I'll duly note that.
All right, excellent.
Okay.
So then we'll jump over to the next song then, Nothing to Lose. Maybe I'll take a crack at this one first. Nothing to Lose, I think it's a very good song. I don't think the version on this album is the definitive version to me. I happen to like the unplugged version better than what's on here. I do love, though, the piano parts through the song, and I love, the fact that Gene's singing it, and we got Peter Criss singing some of the pieces also. I'll go with a solid, 7.5. I think it's a really good song, not cream of the crop, but a solid 7.5.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that. It's one of those songs where I do love that dynamic, and you're first hearing Peter Criss's voice on the record, and I'm admittedly a huge Peter Criss fan. And we should also know, because I know we've had discussion before about, the unplugged versions and stuff like that. Yeah. We're speaking of the versions that are on the records, on these particular records, how we're rating these. We're not going to think about, well, we like the unplugged version much better than this one, so we're going to rate that song higher than we normally would. Right. Correct?
Yep, okay. That's the way I'm doing it.
Okay. All right. So I'm also going to agree with you. I'm going to give the song 7.5.
Right, so I think we're showing people already this is why we've been friends for 42 years.
Yeah, exactly.
We're kind of agreeing.
And why we want to remain friends.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
But saying that, I have a feeling a couple of songs from now will diverge, but we'll see. All right, so make sure the auditor and me is going to tell you, make sure you log those in.
Yes.
All right, so then next up is Firehouse. Do you want to go first on this one?
Sure. Firehouse, I kind of teeter with this a little. I tend sometimes to maybe rate this a little higher. Like in the 8-ish area, but I think I'm gonna go 7 on this one. No, I'll give it a 7.3.
The 7.3.
I'm gonna give 3's my lucky number, just like Peter Criss. I'm gonna give this a 7.3.
Oh boy, you're a little generous 0.3 extra bonus there for Firehouse.
I just feel like I'm thinking about Nothing to Lose. I think Firehouse is more of a classic song. I'll fully admit that. But for me, in this year of 2019, I gotta probably rate it maybe a little bit lower than Nothing to Lose.
Okay, it's interesting because I definitely won't rate it lower than Nothing to Lose. It's classic, certainly not up there in the stratosphere of a Strutter or something like that. But a very, very solid song to me. I love, obviously most people consider Stanley to be the lead singer on the song, but really when you get to the second verse, it's Stanley and Simmons singing together. So I always kind of enjoyed that. It's a unique aspect of a Kiss song. I can't think of other songs where they're both singing together like that on verses. So I kind of like that on the studio version. I'll give it a solid 8 on this.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
So next up, Cold Gin. Why don't you go first on this one?
Yeah, I have a feeling make a little noise on this one.
You know me for a long time.
Yeah. So again, Firehouse, Cold Gin. I think just Cold Gin's. It's just a classic song. I will admit that I'm tired of hearing it in concert, and I don't want to let that dilute my rating here. But I just think it's more of a classic tune, and Ace Frehley's done it countless number of times. I mean, he's the writer of the song. I just have to. I feel it's a little bit higher than Firehouse, and I'm gonna give it a 7.5. I know it's only 0.2 points, but I'm gonna give it a little bit higher than Firehouse and give it a 7.5.
7.5. So, like you said, this is one where we're gonna disagree. I find this song boring as anything. And I especially find the studio version on the debut album probably the most boring of all the versions. Before we were talking about Strutter, how it should be in the set list pretty much every tour. I scratch my head on how this one has been in the set list pretty much since 74. I didn't leave it in the 80s. Boring.
I agree with you totally on that. I just
And it's not because I've heard it too much. I just never thought this song was all that good. So I kind of get torn here. You know, at most, I feel like it's an average song. And if we follow the rules that we're saying, I should give it a 5. And I know people are going to start throwing eggs at me and leaving nasty comments, but you know, it bores me. I'll go with a 5.5, just recognizing the classicness of it. But I find it boring. It doesn't do much for me. Doesn't go anywhere. It's that same dan, 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 the whole damn song. It's like cheap.
Yeah. Don't try to water down my rating now. And by the way, folks, I'm looking off to the side as if I'm talking to somebody else. Every concert I've gone to with him to see Kiss and They've Done, he sang it on every performance. So I just want that noted again.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah.
Oh, look, I'll
he never stands there like this.
No, that's
in vocal protest. You know.
No, I only used to do that with War Machine in the '80s. But that's another story for another.
We'll get to Creatures of Night maybe versus The Elder or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean that might be it. I got to think about that. Creatures of Night maybe versus Lick It Up
or something like that.
That would be a better.
Absolutely,
okay.
absolutely.
Let's not
digress.
divert.
Yeah. All right. So all right. So next up is Let Me Know.
Whoa.
Very good. Why don't you go first on this one, buddy?
Let Me Know. I think this is a cool tune. I thoroughly enjoyed this.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's one of Kiss's more unique tunes. I love that part as I just tried to do at the end, and it goes into the guitar part.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of this song.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of this song. And you know, again, and every time we go to a next song, I'm thinking about the previous ratings. I have to do that.
Absolutely.
Is it a classic Kiss song like the Strutters and the Deuces to come on the list and stuff like that? I don't think it's in that sort of bracket. But it may be an underrated Kiss, one of the most underrated, not most underrated, but an underrated Kiss song. That being said, 5 being average, I'm going to give it a 7.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you. It's definitely a very underrated Kiss classic. I put it right up there with the Firehouses and the songs like that. I think it's miles ahead of a song like Cold Gin. I love, like you said, the ending with the guitar riff or that, you know, they still use in concert, you know, when they do go into the guitar solos usually. I'm going to give this, I'm going to give it an 8. I think it's a very solid, really great song.
And I'll agree in the sense that as a song as written with the musical parts, it's a better song than Cold Gin. And to say what you said before, Cold Gin's like, and sorry, any guitar players who play that song and love it, but, I'm only quoting you.
That's That's
from a musical standpoint and vocal standpoint, I think there's a lot more depth in this song.
Yeah, and you know, when I think of Let Me Know, and I think of the fact that that's the song Stanley originally played for Simmons, be like, oh yeah, I write songs also. You know, to me it was
not a bad one to start off with. Not a bad one,
right? Exactly. Not a bad one to start off with. All right, so I think I gave that one an 8.
Okay.
So I think that
got
concludes
that
side
in there.
A. So let's flip the album over. Let's go to side B. And
you got to flip the album over.
Yeah, okay, here we go. Flip the album over. All right, there we go. So we're now on side B, which we'll start that off with Kissin' Time. You want to take a first crack at this one?
Well, let's start with Kissin' Time, and I'm curious to your copy. Is that the copy of the first album with Kissin' Time or without?
This is actually without. It's pretty funny.
And it's funny that you say that because in my eyes, the first Kiss album, the first release is without Kissing Time. So I think one of the things we kind of touched upon when we started talking about this a little bit was about doing this, like, does Kissing Time count? And I'm going to say, just for the sake of if we're matching up the albums, 10 songs, I almost feel like we have to, because then it just throws off the averages. And when you or total up the points, unless you're doing an average.
Right.
But I would be more to say that we don't include Kissing Time.
Right. And I think if we go back to the beginning of our debate where I think Rock and Roll Over song for song is better, not Rock and Roll Over, Hot in Hell is song for song better than the debut.
Yeah.
I think you're trying to eliminate one of the, in your opinion, weaker tracks from your grading system.
I'm going to try to eliminate the song that's coming up, I think. But
do you have one with Deuce? Deuce?
No.
I think it should be included because I hear what you're saying, and it's pretty ironic that my version here does not have Kissin' Time on it. But I
planted
think
it, that's why.
yeah, that's really fine. I should have lied to you and said it was there. But
Yeah.
but I think 99% of the people out there when they first bought this album, Kissin' Time was on it.
Sure.
So I think.
Do you know the amount that how long? Because I know you're like a historian on these things from when it was originally released, the date, and when the Kissing Time
I think
edition came out.
So let me think about this. I think the album was released in February. I know that.
Right.
I think if I remember right off the top of my head, and I'm doing this off the top of my head, I think they recorded Kissin' Time late May sometime period, because I think they performed it a few times in concert late May, early June '74. So it must have been recorded right before that, is my guess. Again, all off the top of my head, and must have been put on the album somewhere that June, July time period.
All right, so 4 months maybe.
Yeah, exactly. So and I think there's only 50,000 copies without it. If again, all off the top of my head, don't anybody quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure.
And what's interesting about the version of Kissing Time is that if you really listen to the production on it, it sounds like the production from Hotter Than Hell. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if they were already starting the Hotter Than Hell sessions when they recorded that. Maybe you actually know this.
It's a good question. I don't know. Off the top of my head, I don't remember when they recorded Hotter Than Hell. I thought it was more like the August, September time period. But again, I'm doing this off the top of my head.
Yeah. But you should go back and listen to that. Listen to because clearly when you listen to Kissing Time, as it tries to match up with the rest of the record, it sounds different. And to me, it sounds more like what's the production that's on Hotter Than Hell. So.
That's interesting. I've never noticed that, but I don't play music the way you do. I am not producing music the way you do, so I'll have to go back and listen to that.
Check it out.
Yeah, I will. But all right, I'm not gonna have you stop putting off the inevitable. Kissing Time. What do you think?
Look, they did a good job on it, and I understand why they did it. I thought it was a great idea as a promotion for them. But I think it's an average song. I'm not going to give it a below average because I don't think the song's terrible. It's a cover tune. But I'm going to give it a 5. Okay.
I actually I think it's a good cover. I love that, both Paul and Gene and Peter actually all sing a verse. It's the only song off the top of my head, I think, that Kiss actually has 3 different guys singing lead in different parts of the song. I can't think of any other song.
Well, is that you wanted the best song, which...
Oh, yeah, that's right. That doesn't count. That's not even a song.
Sorry for those people like that one.
That's right. Oh, that's a train wreck. So I try to block that out of my memory. No, but you're right. But I still think Kissin' Time is good. It's obviously not a classic, like even a Firehouse or something like that. But I'm going to give it a 6.5. I actually enjoyed that song more than Cold Gin, actually.
Well, that part doesn't surprise me based on, your previous review of that tune. Maybe if you would have initially said that without giving me the little history behind it, I would have been surprised.
Right. No, actually, I never skip it when I listen to the album. In fact, I probably don't listen to it enough. And whenever I hear it, I'm like, oh, this is a good song. I like this. I like it. So,
okay, cool.
So, yeah. All right, so then let's go to the next one. A classic, Deuce. I'll
10.
take this one first. 10.
Oh,
exactly.
Sorry.
Exactly.
sorry, I jumped the gun there.
I mean, do we even need to debate or discuss anything here? From the opening riff to the guitar solo, it's classic.
Yeah, and just classic. Very, very quickly, do you remember when we saw the show at the Ritz?
Yes.
That classic show?
Yes.
We waited online all day. Yep. We waited inside the place. It was like 99,000 degrees in there. Mm-hmm. We were very close to the stage. Yep. We felt like we couldn't breathe because we couldn't. Mm-hmm. And just remembering that opening riff to Deuce, and we were on the side that Gene came out. Yep. And I'll never forget that experience. Yep. And Eric Carr, one of my drumming heroes, it was just an unbelievable feeling. And it's, again, like Strutter, when I hear that song live, whether Ace does it, whether Kiss does it, whether a cover band does it, it's just one of those things that I just love that song.
I agree. If somebody said to me they never heard Kiss before, that very well might be the first song I play for them.
Yeah.
It's perfect. It's an easy 10. You using your reference from before, this one even might go to 11.
Yeah.
So
agreed.
Yeah. So, but we'll both put down. It sounds like a 10 for this one.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So then next up, your personal favorite.
Oh, yes.
The love theme from Kiss.
Now, again, I have a hard time counting this one.
Counts.
It's on the record. I understand, but it totally dilutes the rating system by including this.
Mm-hmm.
It's a track on the record.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. I have a hard time. It's a little unfair because Hotter Than Hell doesn't have an instrumental.
Yeah, but you know what?
But we're as you said, we're rating as the album was presented.
Yes.
So I can't really.
Yes.
I don't have a leg to stand on.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm sitting here thinking about perhaps a future episode. I won't divulge what I'm thinking right now.
Okay, don't
but
do it.
you know, not all instrumentals are created equally. I'll just say that. You know, so
that's gonna keep me up tonight.
Yeah, well, I'll do that to you. Don't worry.
Well, now you can give me the Judge Chamberlain overruled.
Overruled. That's right. All right. So so love theme from Kiss. Lovely instrumental. What do you think of this one?
It's not horrible. I love the little isolated Gene parts. Where he riffs in there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge fan of Gene Simmons' bass playing. Mm-hmm. Again, I think he's totally underrated.
Yep.
His melodic bass lines, guy doesn't get enough credit. And for those who have been fortunate to own his vault and listen to the demos that never were released, sorry, Paul Stanley. I know you said that all he did was write crap. He didn't all other than the stuff that was released, which there were some crappy songs, Love Deadly Weapon. I'll give it a solid 3.
A solid 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, I agree with you. It's it takes down the album quite a bit to me. When they were playing as a club band in '73 and even early '74. They used to do the full version of this as Acrobat with the "You're Much Too Young" parts at the end. It should
have been great.
Which would have been, it would have added a nice flavor to it. But I guess, they say that they used that last part, the guitar riff, as a starting basis of Detroit Rock City. So, perhaps it's good that they didn't include it on this album because we might not have had Detroit Rock City. But putting that to the side, I would have wished they recorded it as Acrobat. As it's recorded now, it's another one of these very boring songs, certainly below average. I'll go with a 3.5. I'll go slightly higher than you. Okay. Maybe because of those bass parts, like you said. Otherwise, it might be a 1 or a 2 for me without those bass parts. Yeah. But I'll go with a 3.5 on this.
Yeah. Okay.
So there you have that. All right. Now we get back into some other classics. 100,000 Years, talking about bass.
Who goes first?
Yeah, I'll let you go first.
Okay. Thank you.
Kind like that.
I love this song. It's from that opening bass riff. I put this in with the Deuces and the Strutters. Wow, it's just one of those. Yeah, and they're recently doing it on the End of the Road tour. I was super excited when I heard. I was actually surprised. I even did a gig recently, and the bass player, not my bass player, was just doing a sound check, and he started sound checking with 100,000 Years, and I. Like shot towards the stage as if Gene was on the stage. Right. That's how excited I get, even when somebody else is playing. And I just gave him kudos, for playing some Kiss. But I give that song a 10.
Wow! I didn't realize you liked it that much.
Oh yeah.
The things I learned 42 years in. This is amazing.
And I know it's not on the record, but it also connect with it with the live version and Peter Criss doing the drum solo again. Huge Peter Criss fan, and so I always kind of make that other connection of how special the song is to me.
Okay. I share the opinion that it's obviously a great song. I don't put it up in the Deuce, Strutter, stratosphere. It's not that good. To me, it's certainly comparable to like a Firehouse or something like that, which, I think I gave Firehouse an 8, if I remember right. So I would say 100,000 years. Yep. Okay. Very good. Yeah. So I would say 100,000 years. I'd also go with the 8. It's funny. I remember years ago reading that, I think Paul Stanley had said he thought this was Ace Frehley's best solo. And I never agreed. But over recent years, I'm like, what? I really, as simple as the solo really is, especially the first part of it is just like repeating the same note. It fits the song so perfectly. But, it's not a classic the way you said in my mind. So I'll give it a solid 8. And
for the record, your favorite Ace Frehley solo on a Kiss record is...
Calling
Dr. Love.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. That's very true.
We did not rehearse that.
No, we didn't. That is very true. Well, I've said that for 40 years. That's my favorite guitar solo of his. So,
and it's great.
It is, yes.
Let's not go off course
here. No. So talking to great, last song on the album, Black Diamond. Easy
You go.
10 for me. Easy 10.
Easy 10.
Maybe I would say 9.99999, and the only reason is
Doesn't that average to a 10 when
of course
when
it
you
does,
said
and
decimal?
you can put in your spreadsheet a 10. It's okay,
Okay,
but
right.
it's always irked me that the acoustic guitar intro that you hear on Double Platinum is not on the original album release. It starts just with Stanley singing and the acoustic guitar playing at the same time, and I do wish they had that acoustic guitar intro on the original recording. It's a nitpicky type thing. The song is like perfect. Live, it's incredible. On the album, it's incredible. The ending's a little whatever, but that's neither here nor there. It doesn't take away from the song.
Yeah.
Easy 10 for me. Easy.
I agree, and I love that opening harmony that they do. Again, we know that Kiss was hugely influenced by the Beatles. You could certainly say they took from them there, which I love that. And it's actually a tricky harmony to sing. And
Is it?
so yeah, I totally.
Maybe I'll give it a try for everybody.
No, let's not do that right now. Yeah. But
Everybody logs off if I do that.
yeah. But yeah, I agree. It's a 10.
Okay. So it's funny we said that we were not going to hand out 10s very
numbers.
easily, but
I handed out 4.
you handed out 4 and I handed out 3. So
3, yes.
but
Looking at the numbers now.
that's just a testament to both these albums, because I'm sure there might be a 10 or 2 on the next album as well. It's just this is a classic album.
And it's funny because right going in, I'm already biased, thinking like I already gave out 4 10s for one, the first Kiss album. There's no way I'm going to be able to give out 4 10s.
Exactly.
So unless the other songs are average with with the love themes at a 3, and the Kiss in Time for Me at a 5, and it kind of just balances itself out. But
Right. So do you have the total? Like I don't know.
I do.
Spreadsheet. Oh yeah. So what's our totals?
So you're gonna love this.
All right. Let's hear this.
Mike Brunn with the overall score of 77.
70s. That's a 7.7 average. I could do that in my head.
Yeah. All right. I challenge you to the next one.
Oh.
And Vincent LaRussa with a average score, or not average, I'm sorry, total score of 77.3.
Ooh. That means your average is what? 7.73?
Yeah.
No, 7.71 or something like that. So
You figure that out.
yeah, whatever. It's
I
7.7.
have Excel doing all my work.
There you go. Good.
At the end of the day, I'm not gonna do math in my head.
Right. So
It's funny. 0.3 separates us on that first album.
right, which is interesting because I think you had some more peaks. Obviously, you gave out an extra 10, but some of the maybe weaker tracks like the Kiss in Time, I rated a little bit higher than you did. Yet
Let Me
Cold Gin, I
Know
rated
gave you a
right.
full point higher than me. Yeah.
Yeah, but we landed in pretty much the same spot.
Yep.
Interesting. All right. So then let's see how that compares to Hotter Than Hell. Right. So let's go to that album now. I guess we'll start with the first song. Obviously, Got to Choose. I'll go first, I guess, on this one. I think that's another underrated classic. I put it certainly in that category of Firehouse. Let Me Know. I was, compared to those, I actually think it might be better than Firehouse personally. I happen to like the choruses and the harmonies they do in this. You said before with 100,000 Years, you think of the drum solo. I think of them doing this acoustic, and I always thought it sounded great. But again, we're not rating that version. We're rating the studio version. I'm going to go to solid 8.5 on this. I think it's a real solid song.
Okay. Where do I land this? I agree in the sense that it's one of the upper echelon songs. And I probably would even say I like it more than Firehouse. I like it more than Cold Gin as a song. And even though it's not a true classic, that being said, I give it a solid 8.
All right.
Give it a solid 8.
All right.
Yeah.
That makes me happy.
Yeah. Oh, good. Well, we're off to a good footing on the second album.
That's right. It's all right. So then the next song up is Parasite. Ace Frehley written song. To me, I can make a case this might be his best written song, in my opinion. I love the riff on this. I remember flying to St. Paul and seeing, Ace and Gene perform together. And when they started playing this song, goosebumps on my arm, the hair was standing up. To me, there's another one. I'd love it. It was in the set list every tour. I never get tired of hearing the song. I don't get tired when Ace plays it. I don't get tired when Kiss plays it. Probably like you were doing with 100,000 Years. If I was in a club and I heard somebody playing the guitar riff, I'd go running over. It wouldn't matter who it was. This is an easy 10 for me. Easy.
Oh, okay. I have to go a little bit lower than you on this. I agree with you. That opening guitar riff is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
We saw Gene. Remember? I think it was, where did we drive? To Philly.
Philly. Yep. Mm-hmm.
We saw the Gene when he did his whole thing in Philly, and there was one other show. There was another one with Cleveland. That's right.
Yeah, we went to.
And I remember, and they played it, and it was awesome.
Yep.
You know. So I'm going to give it a 9.
A 9.
I'm going to give it a 9.
Okay. Very good.
I don't see it as the perfect Kiss song for whatever reason. I don't know, and I might change my mind tomorrow on this particular song.
All right. So
I don't ever get tired. I don't ever get tired, and I would listen to this over a Cold Gin. I'd listen to it over a Firehouse, and that's why it's a 9 as opposed to the 8s and the 7.5s or whatever.
Right.
I gave on the other ones 7.3 on Firehouse.
You don't need to apologize for a 9. A 9 is a very quality rating. So I'll let it slide that you don't think it's a 10, but a 9 is quality.
Okay.
Right,
we can continue?
We can continue, yes. I'll allow you to continue. I'm not going to just shut this down now.
Okay.
All right, so next up is Going Blind. Why don't you go first on this one, bud?
This is a song that as I got older, I grew to appreciate more.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when we were younger, this is a song, and I'm not going to be a spoiler, but
no, it's okay.
It wasn't one of your favorites,
Not
and
at
it
all,
wasn't one of my favorites either, to be quite honest. But maybe it was because of the Unplugged. Again, we're not talking about the Unplugged version, but I think it kind of brought to light how good the song was when you just hear something with an acoustic guitar and just take down the production and just really listen to the tune. And Gene's vocal was a little sweeter, I want to say, than, I'm 93, you're 16, those type of things
Absolutely.
Gene is famous for. I love the tune. I love the tune. And it's easy. It's actually fun to listen to the demo version on the Vault, which that was pretty exciting to hear, I gotta say. Those people who have the Vault version should get a Vault just for that version alone.
That's right.
I'm not going to give it away, though, how it's presented. So I'm going to give this song a solid 7.5.
Okay. Yeah, it's funny you said before, if we were doing this in 1985, I think it would have been like, negative 20. I hated this song in the 80s. I'll say I didn't get it. The lyric you said before, the 93-16 with Gene, that vocal I thought was ridiculous growing up as a kid.
Still ridiculous a little bit, but...
a little bit. But I think as I've gotten older, like you said, I've come to appreciate the song a lot more. I don't know if I've ever told you that. I think it's my daughter's favorite Kiss song, or if it's not her favorite, it's one of her top 3. So whenever we go on the cruise, she's always like, "I hope they do it acoustic. I hope they do it during the Unplugged show." You said 7.5, I think, right? I think I'm going with the same.
Plugged in a 7.5.
Yeah, I'll go with a 7. I don't think it's up to the 7.5.
Okay.
I'll go with a 7. Solid song, but 7. Right.
Okay.
Title track, "Hot in Hell." You want to go first?
Sure. Again, I this is like a in the Firehouse Cold Gin territory for me. I'm gonna give it a 7.5. It's a classic tune, no doubt. It's just something. It lacks a little bit of something, and I can't really even just put my finger on it. Great song, don't get me wrong, but I just once you start hitting 8, 9, 10s, those are like the creme de la creme for me.
Okay.
Slightly below that for me.
What did I give 100,000 Years before? You have the ratings there, right? I think I gave it an 8.
You gave it an 8, yes.
An 8, yeah. So to me, I actually like this a little bit more than 100,000 Years. I actually, for a reference there, because I want to be consistent here, right? So I think I like this a little bit more than 100,000 Years. I remember on, I think it was the Revenge Tour, they brought this out and started performing this for the first time since 76, I think, if my memory's right. It's the first time I ever saw them do it live, and I remember being very excited. I think it's a great song all around. I'm going to go with an 8.5 on this. A little bit better than like the Firehouse is, a little bit better than the 100,000 Years.
Okay.
All right, so
fair enough.
Let Me Go Rock and Roll.
You mean the first rock and roll night?
Exactly.
Take one. Classic tune. I think it's very well done. It's something they jam out. If anybody's been lucky enough to see them in concert, they jam out at the end of this tune. I'm going to give this, again, I think a 7.5.
Okay.
Classic tune. Some ways I like it a little bit more than Hot in Hell. Some ways I don't. So
Okay.
I'm just going to say they're about neck and neck with each other.
Fair
So
enough.
I'm going to give it a 7.5.
I actually like the studio version of this better than the live version. And I know so many Kiss fans love the whole jam out. You know, it goes on for whatever, 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Look, you know, especially in the 80s and even recently, you know, one of my other loves is, you know, the Ramones, the Sex Pistols. I was into punk rock. And one of the things with them is quick 2-minute songs. Just get to the meat of the song, in, out, thank you. It's either good or it's not. And that's what I like about this original studio version. I think it clocks in at like 2 minutes and 16 seconds or something ridiculous like that. It's nice, but straight into the point. And I think the point is excellent. You know, I think the original version, without all the extra accoutrements, is you know, is good. So I'll give it an 8. It's a very solid song. I'll give this version an 8.
And since you mentioned about songs that are, you know, a little over 2 minutes, there was this little old band from Liverpool called the Beatles. They wrote a lot of songs that were just a little over 2. You might want to check them out if you're into that kind of thing.
You know, I'm a little late to that party. Maybe I'll check them out tonight after this.
All right. Okay.
All right. So
you gave that an 8, right?
I gave that an 8. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So again, we're gonna flip the album over. We're gonna go to side B. This one starts with "All the Way" by Gene. You want to go first on this?
Yeah. I'm going to give it a little bit above average. I'd say it's a 6.
Yeah.
Not one of my favorite tunes.
You know, I'd probably.
I think it's one of the maybe the weakest track on the whole album.
Yeah. I think I would agree with that. I'm going to go with a 6.5. I'm going to give it an extra 0.5 for the cowbell. You have to give it an extra 0.5.
Damn, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. As a drummer, how did you not think about that?
I know. Yeah.
You know, this.
I'll stick to my rating with a 6. The cowbell's not going to make me increase it.
No, it's 6. It's my favorite Kiss cowbell song, perhaps. So, you know, I love when I'm on the cruise and Eric Singer decides he wants to play it during the unplugged songs, and he'll just hit the cowbell like. And I know instantly, like, I know what's coming up.
Yeah.
The cowbell gives it an extra 0.5 for me.
Okay. Fair enough. All
right. So then next up is Watching You. You know, I'll go first on this one. When I hear Watching You, I think of the original demo, and I think of Strutter, Firehouse, Deuce, Black Diamond, Watching You, and I always think, which one of those songs don't belong? And I might have got one of the ones mixed up in there. Maybe Cold Gin was on the original demo, but the point being here, I feel like Watching You is just a drop below those songs. Good, not great. I'll give it a 7.5.
Now, this is a song when I play for people who are just getting into Kiss. Or, no, let me rephrase that. People who know the I Was Made for Loving You, the Rock and Roll Nights, the Detroit Rock Cities, the Love Guns, you know, the popular tunes, the Heavens on Fires. This is a song I'll play for them. Okay. And I usually play the live version. Let me just be clear on that.
Okay.
I love the riff of this tune. I think it's a great song. One of my favorites, underrated, I think, and would love to hear them perform it live again one more time. But I agree with you. This is a solid tune. I'm going to give it a 7.5.
You know, after further review, I have a reversal. I think I'm going to lower mine to a 7.
Was it something I said?
No, but just as I said here, listening to you talk and thinking about it, I'm like, you know what? I don't like it as much as a Firehouse or 100,000 Years. I don't even think I like it, you know, any more than Going Blind. So if Going Blind, tell me if I'm wrong. I think I gave Going Blind a 7.
You did.
Yeah, so I can't go higher than Going Blind because I think they're equally good, not great. And I don't think it's as good as a Firehouse or 100,000 Years. So I want to make sure that I have a distinction here. Now I'm going to go down to a 7.
Okay.
So saying that, next up, the Peter Criss song, sung, Mainline. You want to go first here? I know Peter Criss was your childhood idol.
Yes, he was. He still is one of my idols. Mainline, yeah, I think it's a pretty good song. I think it's slightly above average. Nothing particularly wrong with the song. just kind of leaves me, okay, that was pretty good. I don't get that real feeling. Wow, this is something that is one of my all-time favorite top 30 Kiss songs. I'm just throwing out a number. I just give it a 5.5.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So we definitely disagree on this. I think this is just like Let Me Know, one of the a lost classic. I think Peter's vocal on this is great. I think it's just a great.
It's starting to sway me a little because now I'm thinking maybe it's a little low. Maybe I should.
I think you're a little low on that. I think
you know what? Editor's note. I'm gonna give it a 6.5.
All right.
I'm gonna give it a 6.5.
Right,
Would I originally say 5.5?
I think you said 5.5 originally.
Yeah, so I'm going to give it an extra point.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was now, you know what, I start, because what I usually do is immediately start singing choruses. So when we do this, I'm like going to the chorus. I started thinking, and then I started thinking of the verses. I'm like, and you're right, it is an awesome vocal he does.
Yeah, and it's funny because I remember singing him, I think it was the New Jersey Expo in the 90s, him being Peter Criss. And somebody asked him, what one Kiss song would you re-record? And I remember his answer as clear as if he just answered it 10 seconds ago. He's like, oh, I'd do Mainline. I'd sing the shit out of that song now. So it would be interesting to hear him sing it, in 2019. I wish maybe during his final shows he had done it, but alas, he did not. But it's a very, very, very good song. I'm going to go with an 8. I put it right up there with like a Let Me Know. Yeah, I think it's an excellent. I love it. I think it's a great, great song.
I'm happy you gave it an 8.
Oh, good. I'm glad
I am. I'm happy. Yeah.
That's good. So let's go to Coming Home. I'm going to go first here because you know what I'm going to say. We're Coming Home.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Again, going back to 1985, right? If we were doing this in 1985, I would have said this is my favorite Kiss song, period. And it's funny because back in 1985, not many people knew the song Coming Home. Even Kiss fans. It was kind of like this lost track on the end of Hotter Than Hell. Really never played live. It was when I tell people Coming Home was my favorite Kiss song in 1985, they'd be like, what? What song? Once they started playing it during the Unplugged era, 1995 and whatnot, obviously it became much more in the forefront to a lot of people. I just think in so many, I put this in one of my top 5 Kiss songs, and even still today, it probably wouldn't go to number 1 anymore because it's, I can't put it ahead of a Deuce or a Black Diamond, but it's still a top 5 song for me. I still love it. I still get excited every time I hear them play it live. I love On the Cruise. They did it electric, on the Cruise, and I never thought I'd see them play this electric live ever. This for me is an easy 10. I know probably not a lot of Kiss fans agree with me, but Stanley and Frehley wrote the song together. To my knowledge, off the top of my head, it's the only song the two of them ever wrote together. I don't count Rock Bottom, where they kind of pieced the two things together. And I wish they wrote more songs together. If this is what it was like, we could have had some really, really great music by the two of them writing together. So for me, 10.
Yeah, and I love the Unplugged version. It's awesome. Just the way it starts off the show. And I've come to really appreciate it. I don't remember that being one of your favorites in the 80s. And I know
really.
Recently we talked about the Ace Frehley solo album from 78, and I hadn't realized that...
What's on your mind?
Yeah, I had no recollection that it was one of your favorite Kiss songs.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about that album, just on the same similar subject.
Yeah, no, absolutely, I agree.
So I'm going to give it. I'm not going to give it a 10, but I'm going to give it. I'm going to give it an 8.5.
Oh, all right. I didn't even think you'd go that high.
Yeah, I'll give it an 8.5. No, it's a great song.
Okay.
I love the dynamic of it. I love Gene's harmony in the choruses. Choruses are awesome. I love the Unplugged version. Did I make that clear yet?
I think you did, actually. Maybe you'll be lucky. Maybe they'll play it on the Cruise this year on the Sail Away show.
I hope so.
You could check that off the bucket list. Haven't seen it live, right? So, all right. So you went with an 8.5. It's a solid rating, and I went with a 10. Last song on the album, Strange Ways.
Yes. Very well done.
Thank you. I figured I wouldn't break out the vocal prowess until the last song, just in case, I don't want to scare people away too soon.
Nah, you don't know. We want to keep people interested.
That's right. So why don't you go first on the last song here?
Strange Ways. I love when Ace would do it live. I love Peter's vocal on it. In many ways, I love it more than Cold Gin.
Okay.
But now for the rating, it's it's really hard. When we start going through all these numbers, because I start thinking like maybe I want to do some adjustments. After you start going through all of them, and like it's almost just like a cleanse, you know. It's now that I gave these numbers, I'm thinking, well, maybe I would tweak a couple of things here. Rather than a 7.5, I give the other one a 7.6 because it's like that slight notch above, you know. But I think the song is at least a solid 7.
Mm-hmm.
Do I keep it there? I gave Firehouse a 7.3, Cold Gin a 7.5. I'm gonna keep it as a 7.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you.
Yeah.
You know, it's a good song. It's not an all-time classic. You know, I don't even put it in the category of a Firehouse or 100,000 Years. It's a step below that. It's a quality tune. Great guitar solo from Ace. Certainly, I'll say a top 5 solo. I think he does it good live. It's a good song. You said 7. I think I'm going to go with a 7 also. It's it's just a good song, all around good song.
Okay.
All right. So where do our totals end up on this album?
Well,
drum roll.
I'll go with you first.
Okay.
The total number is 80.5.
Aha! Go ahead.
Compared to your 77 for the first Kiss album, my total is a 75 as compared to a 77.3. So the moral of the story, folks, is that we're both right.
That's true. That's interesting the way that worked out. Yeah, you know, I think to the point that you said earlier with Love Theme from Kiss on the first album certainly drags down the totals. You know, but that's why I started off by saying song for song, Hotter Than Hell is a better album for me.
You know what it is for me? I think when you have the Strutters, the Black Diamond, the Deuces, right off the bat, and for me more, because I'm just talking about the songs we both gave 10s. Yeah. I know you gave a couple of 10s on Hotter Than Hell. I just feel like those songs carry that much more weight than the 10s on Hotter Than Hell. Now, that's not to dilute your 10 by any
No,
stretch.
of course, I understand.
And maybe because, you know, those songs are more of the classics than Coming Home and Parasite. As far as, like, you know, if you probably took a poll for Kiss fans.
Right. No, I agree with that.
So that's why I think when I just know that those songs are on that first Kiss album, right off the bat, it's got to be better than Hotter Than Hell. You got Deuce, you got Strutter, you have Black Diamond.
Right.
This is perfection.
Right. Yeah, and you know, look, it's tough to argue that logic because, you know, if I was ranking my top 5 Kiss songs, Deuce, Black Diamond, and Strutter probably all hit the top 5.
Right.
You know, or maybe the top 7, right? Because I could think I got to fit in, you know, I Stole Your Love, I got to fit in Coming Home, I got to fit in Parasite, but what's that? 6 songs? That might be my top 6.
So just as a diversion, so you're gonna we'll divert a little bit for 1 minute diversion.
Yeah, go ahead.
So you're gonna say that Love Gun and Detroit Rock City are not in your top 7?
Definitely
I'm just
not.
curious.
Definitely not. No.
Interesting. No. See, like to me, Love Gun is one of my all-time favorites Kiss songs. Definitely top 10 for me. There's no doubt.
That's interesting because it's slightly above Cold Gym status for me.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's just a very average song, maybe a little bit above average, a little bit better than Cold Gym, but...
Insert tomatoes.
Here they come. Oh, it's a good song, but...
Where's my prop guy? I hired him. He's supposed to be coming out of one of those cabinets. The door that's over by...
That's great. That's great. No, so it's a good song, but yeah, whatever. I could do without it. It's not even the best song on that album.
Well, you know what? This is prompting another episode. So let's just hold it right there because I think that would be, as we do these album comparisons, it also might be fun to do a top 15 comparison and see where that lies.
Agreed. So.
All
right, so I think the moral of the story here.
I was gonna say. So what's the moral of the story, my friend?
I think the moral of the story is, like you said, we're both right. I still stand by my comment that song for song, Hotter Than Hell is a better album than the debut. You can't go wrong with either one. They're both, top-notch albums. So it's not like we're comparing either one of these to a shit sandwich. So, it's, they're both top-notch.
Another Spinal Tap reference.
That's right.
That's a 2-in-1 episode.
2-in-1 episode. That's right. So, it's, both of them are quite quality. You can't go wrong with either one. If you put either one on, I'm not skipping any songs, maybe except for Love Theme on either of the albums.
But you're going to tell me Desert Island, somebody's handing you, they're not handing you the rope for safety. They're like, here, you could have the first Kiss album or Hot in Hell. You grabbing Hot in Hell
I am.
to listen to for the rest of your life.
Yes, I am.
Wow.
Yeah, I am.
All right,
I think so.
Got to call the hospital now.
I think so. Although I will say I will very sadly miss Strutter, Deuce, and Black Diamond. That's
all right. You're sticking by. I could respect that you're sticking by even with that. Putting that to you that way.
Yeah, for me, the first album, Love Theme, Kiss in Time is a little above average, but nothing spectacular.
Yeah.
And for me, Cold Gin. It's just, I don't ever have to hear that song again in my lifetime, and not because it's overplayed. I just don't love that song.
I didn't know that you didn't really like that song ever. I don't remember when we were younger. I remember you not liking. What were we talking about earlier? Going Blind.
Going Blind. Yeah.
Going Blind. Yeah. So okay.
Yeah. No.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So, all right. On that note, I think we're about wrapping up. I guess, once this is posted, I'd love to see people's comments and let them kind of post song by song what they think. Am I off my rocker that song for song, Hot in Hell is better? Is Vincent right that the debut is better? I have a feeling, Buddy, most people will side with you than with me, but that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
We know Kiss fans are passionate, so we'll be very excited to get some responses and hear what people have to say. Just be nice and be kind. That's all we ask.
That's right. And
we're not saying we're right. We're not saying we're right.
No, definitely not. And I'm quite sure there'll be plenty of people that say how ridiculous and crazy I am with my rating on Cold Gin, but I'm ready for that. So with that, let's wrap it up. I'm curious to see how other people rank these albums song for song. And thanks everybody for watching. And we'll probably be hitting you with another episode like this sometime really soon. So thanks a lot. Later. Thanks, Vin.
Later.